Marfoogle TV live in 3, 2. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle TV. First story of the day is that Zelensky's plane was targeted, not in Ukraine, but actually in Dublin. Again, this is an odd one because they said that the drones breached a no-fly zone and reached the location where Zelensky's plane was expected to be at that moment. Now, what they say happened is that he was actually ahead of schedule. So what ended up happening is the drones were too late. They missed the deadline and they missed Zelensky. Now they're saying that his life is under threat no matter where he goes. Volodymyr Zelensky's airplane was targeted by military-style drones as it approached Dublin Airport. The incident happened on Monday night at about 11 p.m. as the Ukrainian president arrived for a meeting with Ireland's prime minister. So this is an odd one. This is in Ireland. So who is stationed in Ireland that ended up doing this? Or was this help from one of the local military militia groups there, or somebody was paid off? This is a very, very odd one. We're going to talk about this and much, much more on today's episode of Marfoogle TV, so make sure to stick around. We'll be right back right after our disclaimers. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle TV. Before we get started, let's bring in my co-host/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So let's talk about Russia. Putin says Russia will take Donbass by force, or Ukraine's troop will withdraw.
Yeah, so as part of the negotiations, I guess he's putting down his fist and saying, look, they're going to take it. Putin has warned again that the Ukrainian troops must withdraw from Ukraine's eastern Donbass region, or Russia will seize it, rejecting any compromise over how the end of the war in Ukraine. So either we liberate these territories by force, or Ukraine troops will leave these territories, he told the media. So he's getting serious about these negotiations. This is coming after Witkoff had just spent a great amount of time negotiating with Putin, and we've got some other updates on that too.
Yeah, so as far as the peace deal, this is just not happening. Putin says that there are points he can't agree to in the U.S. proposal to end Russia's war. Now, this is just from my memory of it, but I felt like Russia was saying, oh, yeah, we're like totally on the agreement table. And then, of course, President Trump said that he wouldn't meet with Zelensky until he signed the agreement, basically saying, like, you're not going to get a chance to beg and plead for, territorial changes in this peace plan. But Russia, on Russia's end, the peace plan that was already pointed out, we went over it, which is such a waste of time. Like, we went over all of the different points in a former show, and it's like, I told you guys, I knew something wasn't going to work out for one of the sides, and of course it wasn't. So the whole thing kind of goes back to the drawing board. He says that some proposals in a U.S. plan to end the war in Ukraine are unacceptable to the Kremlin, indicating that any deal is still some way off, despite intense shuttle diplomacy by American envoys. It says U.S. President Donald has set in motion the most intense diplomatic push to stop the fighting since Russia launched a full-scale invasion in its neighbor nearly 4 years ago. But the peace efforts have once again run into demands that are hard to reconcile, especially over which Ukraine must give up land to Russia and how it can be kept safe from any future Russian aggression. Putin said in comments published Thursday that his 5-hour talks with U.S. envoys this week were necessary and useful, but also difficult work. Some of the proposals were unacceptable to the Kremlin. So there's just these deal breakers everywhere. It doesn't matter what they do. This isn't going to end. I'm telling you, both sides have agendas, and both sides aren't going to say, we agree. Something is far off. And some say that maybe that Russia wouldn't have actually started this war before if there wasn't this push by NATO to get closer and into their backyard. But I don't think, even if that was the case, I think that now everyone does realize that there's billions of dollars worth of resources in Ukraine. So I think that they are going to fight for this, especially since in the end result, Russia, China, North Korea, Iran, all these places are looking at it like they want their side, all of our adversaries, they want to have the advantage. And to have the advantage in the future, you need those resources. And those resources are in Ukraine and many other places. There's going to be more wars after this. I guarantee it. But again, crazy stuff. Now, before we move on, make sure to go check out EMP Shield if you haven't already. The Black Friday sale is still going. And again, that's 25% off from them and $50 off from us on each device. So if you get one, that's $50 off plus 25%. You get two, that's $100. Three, that's $150. Four, that's $200. And 25% off from them. So again, make sure to go check this out. I told you guys to wait. Again, go over. This is what you were waiting for. Marfooglenews.com/EMP. Make sure to use the code MARF. Again, Marfooglenews.com/EMP. And make sure to use the code MARF. We don't know when this will be ending, but it is as of today on December 4th still going. So make sure to go and utilize that. All right. Thank you, Brenda Wheeler, for subscribing. John David Robinson, thank you for subscribing. And Anti-Insurrection, thank you so much. King Tool, thank you for subscribing as well. Thank you, everybody that just joined us. All right. Thank you so much for in the chat. We've got Rebecca Rose, Hopkinson, Janet Criddle. Thank you so much. Or is that, yeah, Janet C. Riddle. I don't know. Ilea, nice to see. Awesome odds. And I saw Rip Kroll in the house. Make sure to say hi to Rip. He is awesome. He said, war sucks. Yes, it does. And then Chance, again, I don't have a ceramic heater, but I would definitely love one of those silent ones. I'm not going to invest in anything like that. I'm saving up to get a what do they call those decks?
A mini split.
Mini split. Yeah. Eventually, when I can afford a mini split, I'm going to put one of those in here so I'll have heat and cold. Because summer will be just the end of this summer when we first moved in. This little shack was like 110 degrees or something. It was crazy. Now it's like 28 degrees in here. So I'm worried about the electronics more than anything. Germany moves in combat jets to Poland after Russian incursions. All right, so Dex, again with Germany. Germany has been in the news pretty much every day this week. Want to talk about this?
And here we go. They're expanding. So, we talked about Germany going to, Latvia and moving an entire group there the first time they were leaving from within their borders and expanding outward. So now they're moving jets. So a number of German Eurofighter Typhoon combat jets have taken off from Norwich Air Base in Cologne on Thursday, and they're headed for the Polish Air Base at Malbork, southeast of Gdansk. I'm sure I'm butchering these names. Sorry, Europeans, but to reinforce NATO's eastern flank. So they've got to beef up that eastern flank, as they say. The German Air Force said the redeployment represents a reaction to the latest Russian infringements of NATO airspace in the Baltic region, along with the incursions by the kamikaze drones. So with this mission, our troops are making a further valuable contribution to protecting the eastern NATO region, alongside our rapid reaction wing station in Romania since August, Air Force Commanding Officer Lieutenant General Holger Neumann said. So they continue to ramp up for war, not negotiate for peace.
Yeah, there's nothing on the table right now that says that there is going to be any peace in the next week, which is what some experts were saying. And then mysterious heartbeat pulsating from interstellar object Atlas. Now, this is an interesting one because I actually believe the scientists' excuse for this one. At least it sounds reasonable. Where some of the other ones, it was like they were just kind of making something up. This one actually does have kind of both sides have interesting points. So first of all, as it gets closer to Earth, they're saying that it is pulsing. Now, Harvard professor Loeb, whatever his name is, Avi Loeb, has essentially said that that NASA's explanation doesn't work. Now, NASA basically says that this is spinning every 16 hours, and when it hits towards the sun, that the sun hits the same part of ice and gases, and that essentially lights it up and starts, flaming it up. That's why it's pulsating. And that's why it's pulsating exactly every 16 hours or so, and it's going psh, 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 and it's pulsating. So Avi Loeb says that this doesn't make sense to him because it's not in the coma, or it's not in that side. It looks like it's actually, or it's not from the core, that it's actually from behind it or from around it, right? So I believe that's a okay explanation of what he's saying. Moreover, this pulsing makes the object's overall glow brighten and dim by about 20 to 40% in a clean, repeating cycle, which some have claimed suggests that 3I Atlas is not naturally occurring comet. They said both NASA and ESA have declared this to be a lifeless comet, saying that they have not detected any signs of extraterrestrial life emanating from the object. The natural explanation for these new pulses is that the solid core spins every 16.16 hours, with pockets of ice on its surface heating up and turning directly into gas when they face the sun, shooting out the jets like clockwork. This is believed to happen because the sun warmth hits those exact ice spots at the same point in each spin, blasting material outward at 985 miles per hour. Well, the comet's spin has provided convenient reasons for the precise timing. Harvard professor Avi Loeb pointed out that it still doesn't explain the glowing pulses coming from the object as it makes its closest pass by Earth. He noted that the pulsations of lights were strange because almost all the light telescope saw comes from the coma. Again, from the coma, not the core. An enormous cloud of gas and dust that can stretch hundreds of thousands of miles, not the object's dark, rocky center. So, to me, I don't know, even Avi Loeb's thing, because if it was hitting that, then if it's turning into gas, that would go off the back of it. So, I guess I see both points, right? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. A lot of people have seen this as a big old distraction. Some think it is legit an alien life form and a mothership that's heading this way. We don't know yet, but again, crazy stories about it.
Yeah, one other quick point. He said if the core is the only thing spinning and shooting out the bursts, the giant cloud, that coma, should have acted like a big soft blanket and washing out or diluting the sharp flashes. So they would be more washed out flashes, not these big bright flashes. So, yeah, it's an interesting argument on both sides. And obviously the rotation plays into it. But I mean, maybe that's, extraterrestrial rotation that's causing that. And maybe the flash is something of its energy source. Who knows? Or maybe it's just what NASA says, but nobody wants to believe that either.
I still want to know too. You have amateur astronomers, and I hate saying the word amateur because some of these people, like the gentleman that Wages introduced me to, that guy's not an amateur by any means, but it's an amateur, and you can't say amateur telescope either, because these are telescopes none of us can afford. These are telescopes that are just tens of thousands of dollars in some cases. And these things really have gotten some great images. In fact, they got great images before NASA released theirs because of the whole government shutdown. And one of the things that he said is that it was spinning vertically, not horizontally, which I still don't get that. We're in an infinite universe, and I still haven't been able to understand this part of it, no matter how it's explained. We're in an infinite universe, but everything spins in a horizontal plane. That has just never made sense to me. And that asteroids and pretty much everything spins this way and not this way, or diagonal, or free form, right? I've just never understood that, especially with the fact that there's no air resistance out there. How I just never understood that. So if you want to leave me a really detailed explanation of why that happens, please do in the comments down below. If you studied this in college, I would love a good explanation that I could understand. All right, and then Because I'm a
Big
dummy.
Bang.
The Big Bang? Is that what you
It's a
said?
Big Bang. It's all on a plane.
Yeah.
All on one flat, long, level plane, except the things that aren't, which are weird.
Yeah, like snakes, right?
Yeah.
Israel launches airstrike in southern Gaza after earlier attack by militants wounded 5 soldiers. Dax, do you want to go over this?
Well, here we go again. So, it's not over. The Middle East wants to heat back up. So Israel has now struck again into the strip, in the southern strip. So it said it launched an airstrike on Hamas militants in the southern Gaza late Wednesday in retaliation for attack earlier in the day that wounded 5 of their soldiers. Strike was one of the latest for these fragile ceasefire. So I don't know how you can call it a ceasefire when now all of a sudden you've got, actions going on. Of course, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Hamas had violated the ceasefire Wednesday. That's what I just said. When, according to the army, and militants emerged from a tunnel and attacked Israeli soldiers in an area under control. So that's at least their excuse for then launching the airstrikes back and counter attacking. So will this go more from here, or is this just an isolated incident? I think that's the big question. I think, we're gonna, I just can't imagine like it's all just gonna be peaceful and it's over when they said they have the ceasefire and they have this agreement. Yes, they got the hostages out, but what happens next? It's not going away.
No, it is not. It's as likely as making a movie called Space NATO on a Plane, according to RR in 10C. Nice to see you, by the way, Texas Tony and Naturally Inclined One. Thank you for being here. Cypher, nice to see you as well. Lots of old school Fugel fam. It really irks me too. If you guys can, drop what your old screen name was before they change it to this @thing. That would really help. I'm going to start doing roll call again because a lot of people's screen names changed when YouTube did that. So I don't know the old school Fugel fan members because it's changed it. So we'll do a roll call in a little bit, or if you want to pop it in now. In fact, we can just do a roll call. Pop in what your name used to be before this @ thing came along, because I really don't know the new ones. A lot of them, some of them are pretty obvious, like Ryan Alter is Ryan Alter 9, but Stephen McMahon is Stephen McMahon. Seraphim, Angel Wings, author, what is going on? Michael Pittman, trusted source. I would have never in a million years got that. Like, I did not know that. Thank you. I'm glad too. 2-year member, and basically don't know who you are anymore because of that stupid name. Not your stupid name, but you know what I mean. All right, and Harley, hey, what is going on? Gemini. See what I mean? I don't know why YouTube did that. It is so stupid in my opinion. If they were going to do it, they should have had like a parentheses for a while so everybody would be able to transition. Fermi Paradox 1. Yeah, true, very true. Mercy and Mosqueda, what is going on? And Living Off Grid. I see a RR in Tennessee. I would have never got that either. Rhiannon, what is going on? Nice to see you. I could have got yours, but thank you. And Melissa, thank you. And yours is easy. And then it isn't our names are stupid, it's us. No. no. Taymorji and others, thank you. Oregon Squatch, thank you. I know. And then they add all the letters and numbers and things. It's just kind of silly.
It makes it harder to read. It was so much easier to read a legible name that somebody programmed in as opposed to a username that the system had to create that's unique. Full of numbers, letters, and symbols. That
couldn't be copied over, that you each one, because now 4950, it's just lame. Have you guys, and do you guys agree with me? Anytime you've ever tried to do a username and it's taken, do you hate having to take the one with like, John Williamson 12 or 14 or whatever? It's just lame, right? That there's John Williamson 1 through 13 that got it there first, but it's like, I don't know. I've always hated adding random numbers to the end just to have a unique name. All right, and then...
Well, I look at Rip Curl Readiness, 8777, but I got to imagine the numbers mean something to him. There can't be that many Rip Curl Readinesses out there.
I know. Right? How many rip curl readinesses are there? And then, yes, the government can track your location, but usually not by spying on you directly. Now, this actually makes a whole lot of sense. Dex, do you want to go over what they mean by this?
Okay, so very fascinating article. Gets a little geeky. You guys probably should pay attention to this though, because it's talking about all of the data that you give up. So while we probably understand, just because you've seen it in the movies or you see it in a crime show where they triangulate a cell phone and they ping multiple towers and they can know where that cell phone has been, they have to get that data from the cell phone carriers, but they usually get that with a subpoena. There is all of these other apps that use location data for their application functionality, whether it be, I'm just going to make something up, storm tracking software that lets you know if there's a storm coming, right? Well, it's got to know where your location is. You got to give up a permission for locations. But then that app might share that information that it has on you and when you're using it, when the app where you are at any given time, and share that information with other vendors, so to speak, or data collectors. And what they're getting to the point now is that instead of having the government store and have all this information, or the telcos like AT&T or Verizon or whoever have the information that they have to go subpoena, they literally can just pull out the checkbook without a subpoena and go to a data provider and buy the data to find out where you are, what you're doing, where you've been going, so they can track you. And this has been happening, and I'm trying to simplify this and not go into all the details in here, but you guys should go check it out if you want to know a little bit more about how it technically works. But the idea and the reason it's important for you to understand is that you click away your permissions all the time when you're installing apps. You click away your permissions all the time when you're allowing these location tracking functionalities to work, and a lot of that data gets sent into larger data aggregators that then can sell that data off. And in the examples they give, of course, is against ICE, right? They said ICE bought data to track individuals in certain locations so that they could use it for their ability to pick up illegal aliens. So, and yes, that's you could easily say it's a valid use, but at the same point, is they didn't have to go get a subpoena for this. They were able to just go buy commercially available data from a data broker.
Okay, and this is why there's a company named EDEC, and now it is it's off grid, right? So we still have the links good on off grid on our site.
They're in our description down below and on our site.
Okay, so if you haven't gotten yourself an off grid, I highly recommend it. They're very affordable. They're a great gift for Christmas, and this isn't meant to be an ad, but I will say this. They have all sorts of cool ones. I have a couple. One actually folds up into wallet size and it unfolds and you can put your phone in it. And essentially they even have models where it's see-through. So you have a screen and you can see your screen. You can even touch your screen, but it's not sending out any signals. Anywhere you go, you can pop it in when you're traveling with it, whatever else. But then when you need it, you can pull it out, or you can even use it with the kit on. But then your information, wherever you're going, doesn't get tracked by these places. Obviously, most of you probably have clicked these away. You'll definitely know you've clicked away your privacy rights for your location. If you go to a store after you leave, they say, rate, Safeway. You just went there. Is it a 5-star? Blah, blah, blah. Or you'll be right next to a McDonald's and it will say, hey, McDonald's is doing this special. Those are companies that are bidding in real time for your location, and they actually pay a small fee to essentially serve up their ad to you in one of these apps. And all of these apps are buying data off of each other. It's really, really, really bad. So again, those bags are really cheap, but they also will protect your devices against EMP and CME and stuff like that. So it's just a smart idea, and it also is a good idea to have like a backup device sitting in one of those in a drawer somewhere. So if we do have an EMP, you'll have a working device. And a lot of folks that do that, they'll end up saving hard drive, like save actual information. So you could save survival books on basically your phone or on a device. So there's a lot of ways that you can do that. Otherwise, you could make your own kind of Faraday cages. But the really useful off-grid bags, man, I'm telling you, people are going to want these in the future. And I think that a lot of people are going to start picking up, some sort of Faraday bags for their stuff. They also have big Faraday bags, like luggage bag size for everything. They have duffel bags and backpacks and all sorts of stuff for laptops and other devices. So go check it out. Real quick, again, since kind of did an affiliate, just go check out Jace. Definitely highly recommend it. You can get antibiotics straight to your door in a kit. You talk to a board certified doctor. Go to marfooglenews.com/Jace. Use the code MARF for a huge sale. Again, go to marfooglenews.com/Jace. Again, that is an awesome service. All right, and then let's go into earthquake in the Bay Area. An errant earthquake of 5.9 woke up many people in the Bay Area. And these earthquakes are very, very scary in California, because in California, you don't know if you're going to have the big one at some point, right? You don't know if San Andreas is going to go up. Just after 8 a.m., Bay Area residents received a My Shake alert, warning of a magnitude 5.9 quake hitting east of Carson City, Nevada. Close to Lake Tahoe, this quake appeared on the USGS map of the latest earthquakes, but within minutes, the report of the quake disappeared from the USGS page. Again, it says, Paul Early, the director of the USGS's National Earthquake Information Center, told SF-Gate that the 5.9 quake warning was an errant message from an earthquake early warning system. So they screwed up. Again, this was an alert that came out, and it says 5.9 drop cover. So people, I'm sure, actually dropped and covered, got under a table, and then nothing happened. You guys know, since the beginning of my channel, I've covered these false alerts, and it's very, very creepy when you have anything. In fact, they had false tsunami alerts. They have, of course, had false missile alerts in Hawaii, all because of some sort of errant mistake by a human being. Obviously, there's been a debate about many things, including the Hawaii false missile alert. Dex, can you imagine waking up to an alarm and it's saying from an official source that there's an earthquake coming, and then nothing? Well,
yeah, and then nothing, right? And so everybody woke up to an earthquake, but they didn't feel it. Like, it was the mysterious earthquake. So, yeah, what caused it, and why did it show up on the USGS website? Like, it wasn't. If it was just an errant alert, wouldn't do the alerts alert the USGS website? I think the USGS website reports the earthquakes, and the data from that, or the shake alert, is probably a separate component. It doesn't make much sense. So unless somebody at USGS made a mistake and put it on there, and that caused the shake alert to go off, I don't know.
I wonder if I think
the shake alert's supposed to come on before. Isn't that the whole point? It gives you like a momentary, minute or so many seconds of advance notice that there's a quake coming.
Yeah, that's what it's supposed to do. Even 5 seconds is like, you're 5 feet away from a doorway, or from a table. You can hop under there real quick. That's the point of the My Shake alerts. They're trying to roll these out everywhere, but this doesn't make sense. Something is off here. Now, I wonder if there was a 5.9 somewhere else in the world, and do they manually put these in? I highly doubt it, right? I believe that the seismic centers, the seismic tools, essentially communicate to a computer system, and then it refers it to the USGS. But I don't know. If you're an expert on this, if you studied this, or you have some sort of knowledge that I don't, which is probably a lot of you, then let me know. Let me know in the comments down below. It's a very odd story. Were you in the Bay Area, and did you get this alert? Let me know. Text, texts like this scare the hell out of people, and nothing happened. And then China massing military ships in the East China Sea. Not to mention, they have in the Western Pacific, they have a ton of ships. In fact, up to 100 as of a few days ago. About 10 of them ended up docking and refueling. So there's about 90 ships out there right now, which is pretty crazy because it is the most that has ever amassed in this area. In fact, even in prior drills, they have not had that many all in one place. So again, this is not a drill. They don't have any named drills attached to this. So a lot of folks are wondering, is this just a practice run? Is it a show of strength? Is this kind of a back and forth between them and Japan, and they're just flexing? I don't know. Dex, what did you think about this? This is a lot of Chinese naval ships to be gathering.
Every time they do this, it's sort of like a drill, but it's also, you got to understand, it is what they're going to do when the real deal happens. And so you're never going to know if it's the real deal until it actually pops off, right? So this is what it's going to look like. It's going to look like this. It's going to look like the circling of Taiwan. It's going to look like all the other things that they've done. And more than likely, even when it does happen, they're going to call it a drill, and it's not going to be one.
Yeah, this is definitely a big question mark. I just wonder if they are going to all of a sudden say that there's some sort of named drill. There's no announcements of any kind of drills happening, so it's an odd one. Let's see here. Thank you so much. Appreciate again everybody that has made it into chat. Texas Tony, Mainframe, and Marriott Joe Tyndall. Thank you guys again. Ballistic Mystic, nice to see you as well. And Mark said that his sister got an alert in the Bay Area this morning, and there was nothing shaking. I wonder if it was really, really, really deep or something, or part of the underground, bases that they're making or something. And it was super, super close to one of the sensors, but yet it was so close and so localized that, it wasn't actually an earthquake. It was just an explosion or something, or somebody digging near one. I wonder where the sensors are. That's one of the questions I had. And then make sure to go check out Harvest Right for the Black Friday sale. Again, you can get yourself a machine that can freeze dry your own food and last up to 25 years. You can seal everything into Mylar bags on your own and not pay $15 per meal. And you can also do your own dietary specifications. If you're a vegetarian, you can do all of your own stuff. I highly wonder what it looks like for a vegetarian in the freeze-dried prep food market. But again, you can do it yourself. marfugglenews.com/freeze. Go check it out. Thank you, everybody that made it tonight's show. Dex, thank you so much for your service tonight. I appreciate you.
Much love. Great job.
And before
and hang on real quick, just out of the blue, what happens if tomorrow we actually get a 5.9 at that location?
Yeah, that would...
Isn't that going to trip everybody out that they announced it?
Yeah, that would be creepy.
Yeah.
Also, before we go, I do want to mention you guys have to watch that Marfoogle News show, because there is that letter, and some of you don't watch the shorter show. That letter from one of the foreign top officials in Venezuela essentially confirms that there's armed soldiers in the United States, and that not only they're connected with Venezuela, with Hezbollah, with others, with Russia, all of this, and essentially has said what we've been talking about all week. So got to watch that video. Make sure to share that out with friends and family, and prep and plan. Have a plan with your family just in case something goes down. You don't have to feel crazy. Look at it as if you're preparing for a local disaster, because the prep is the same. You need food, water. You need a plan to get home if something happens, if you're disconnected. You need a plan to what you are going to do. And this is the simplest thing you can do that will absolutely save lives, is figure out where to meet and where to go if you cannot connect. Because if you think about it, something happens right now, you cannot call your family. What if it takes you 6 hours to walk home? And then in that 6 hours, your family ends up going, well, we need to get out of here. Where do we go? They end up leaving. You don't want a situation where they're walking 6 hours to home and seeing a note saying, well, we went here. Then they go there and you've already gone because of emergency situations. That is something that everybody should look at. You should definitely look at the power line maps and things like this, at places you can walk, get around without having to use the roads. These are things to think about. And think about even looking up, where your local bomb shelters and things like this are. It may be needed at some point, even though it sounds absolutely nuts. All right, you guys, have a wonderful night, and make sure to go check out our website, to go check out our mods over at marfugglenews.com/friends. All the awesome mods are over there. Today, thank you so much, Chance Paladin, Jammer. Of course, thank you, Rip Curl Readiness, for popping in. Ilea, and of course, Wages World and all the rest. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Bobby Sue, thank you so much for holding it down as well. All right, you guys, be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. Thank you, Kimbria. Kimbria3668. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you for supporting independent. Top supporter tonight. Thank you. Over on the shoutro.